You are here now, and there is nowhere else you need to be. In this moment, you are safe, completely safe. Nothing is required of you. Nothing is expected. Nothing needs to be solved or understood. Allow yourself to rest in that knowing, as if the world has gently stepped back, giving you permission to simply exist. You may notice the surface beneath you, supporting your body without effort. It holds you steadily, quietly, without asking anything in return. There is no task to complete, no focus to maintain, no need to listen closely or remember words. These sounds can simply pass through you like a soft breeze moving through an open space. If your mind wanders, that is perfectly fine. If thoughts appear, you do not need to follow them. They can drift by, unnoticed, unimportant. Right now, you are allowed to let go. Let go of the day you've had. Whether it felt long or short, easy or heavy, let go of plans for later, for tomorrow, for any other time. Nothing from outside this moment needs your attention. Imagine, gently, that you are inside a quiet, protected place, a place where nothing can rush you, nothing can disturb you, nothing can reach you unless you allow it. This place does not need to be pictured clearly. You don't need to imagine colors or shapes, just a sense, a feeling of being held in calm stillness. Your body already knows how to rest. Your breathing can be exactly as it is. No need to change it. No need to deepen or slow it intentionally. Each breath arrives and leaves on its own. With every exhale, there is a natural softening, a subtle release, as if your body is gently setting something down. Your shoulders may ease, your jaw may loosen, your forehead may smooth, all without effort. You are not trying to relax. Relaxation is happening by itself. The sound of this voice is steady, predictable, safe. It will not surprise you. It will not demand anything. You can allow it to fade into the background, or you can let it float alongside your thoughts. Either way is perfectly fine. There is nothing you could do wrong right now. If your eyes are open, they may grow heavy. If they are already closed, they can remain comfortably so. Your body is allowed to sink millimeter by millimeter into rest. Imagine that each part of you understands this message. You are safe. You can stop holding on. Nothing needs to be controlled. Nothing needs to be fixed. Even the need to relax can be released. Time slows here, stretching gently, losing its edges. This moment is enough. You are enough, just as you are, without effort, without improvement. As you continue listening or drifting, know that this space will remain calm and steady. There will be no sudden changes, no sharp turns, only a gradual deepening into ease, into quiet, into rest. And as this beginning settles, you may notice a subtle shift, a sense that you don't need to carry yourself anymore. You are being carried now by stillness, by quiet, by the simple permission to let go. And as you continue resting here, there is nothing new you need to do. There is no goal to reach, no finish line, no moment you are trying to arrive at. This is not about trying to sleep. Sleep does not need to be forced or invited strongly or chased in any way. Instead, there is only a gentle allowance, an open space where rest is welcome if it wishes to arrive. You can imagine this moment as a soft agreement with yourself, not a promise, not a rule, just a quiet understanding, an understanding that your body is allowed to rest now. You are not asking it to shut down. You are not commanding it to relax. You are simply stepping out of the way so it can do what it already knows how to do. Your body has rested many times before, without effort, without instructions. It remembers. You don't need to help it. There is no need to think, I must fall asleep soon. There is no pressure for anything to happen. If sleep comes, it comes. If it doesn't yet, that is also completely fine. Rest itself is enough. Imagine placing the idea of sleep gently to the side, like setting down an object you don't need to hold right now. Nothing is missing without it. Instead, you are allowing your body to enter a state of ease, a state where muscles soften, where systems slow, where effort dissolves naturally. This is not an intention that requires focus. It is more like a quiet permission slip, signed without thought and forgotten immediately after. You might silently acknowledge, without repeating it, without effort, it's okay for my body to rest, and then let even those words fade. There is no need to monitor how relaxed you are, no need to check whether it's working. The body does not need supervision. It responds best when it is trusted. You may notice moments where awareness drifts, where thoughts become less clear, where time feels less defined, or you may notice nothing at all. Both are signs of rest unfolding in its own way. Your only role, if there is one, is to allow the weight of your body to be where it is. Allow the breath to come and go. Allow sensations to soften or shift naturally. You are not doing rest correctly or incorrectly. There is no right pace. Even wakefulness can be restful when it is no longer resisted. Your nervous system understands this permission. It recognizes safety in the absence of demand. With no urgency, no expectation, no effort, the body begins to settle deeper. You may feel heavier or lighter or simply neutral. You don't need to label it, just let it be as it is. This gentle intention is not something to hold on to. It is something that dissolves into the background, like a quiet signal already received. From here, the body takes over, and you can continue resting without trying, without aiming, without needing anything to change. As the body continues to rest on its own, there may be space now for something even quieter to happen. not something you need to focus on, not something you need to remember, just a subtle shift beneath the surface. There is a kind of tiredness that doesn't come from muscles or movement, a tiredness that doesn't always have words. It doesn't point to a single moment or a single reason. It's the kind that builds slowly, from holding things together, from staying steady, from being present again and again. You don't need to identify it. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to trace where it came from. Just know that it makes sense. If there is a sense of quiet weariness inside you, it belongs here. It does not need to leave. It does not need to change. Nothing is wrong with you for feeling it. Your system has been listening for a long time, adjusting, adapting, responding to the world as best it can, and now it is being allowed to pause. There is no expectation to be positive, no requirement to feel calm or grateful or light. Whatever emotional tone is present, even if it feels flat or distant or undefined, it is already acceptable. You don't need to bring it closer. You don't need to push it away. It can rest at exactly the distance it chooses. Imagine that the part of you that has been quietly holding things is finally being seen, without questions, without analysis, not examined, not evaluated, just acknowledged, as if something inside you hears. You don't have to explain yourself here. There is no pressure to feel better, no timeline for healing. This is not a moment of fixing. It is a moment of allowing. Your nervous system responds to this kind of space, to the absence of demand, to the quiet signal that nothing more is required. You may notice a softening that is emotional rather than physical, a sense of being less braced, less on guard. Or you may notice nothing at all. Both are signs of safety. If emotions drift through, they don't need names. They don't need stories. They can move like gentle weather, passing through without stopping. And if there is numbness, or emptiness, or stillness, that too is welcome. Nothing here is asking you to open or close, to feel more or feel less. You are already enough exactly as you are. Imagine that the deeper layers of your system, the parts that operate without words, are beginning to recognize this moment. They sense the steadiness, the lack of threat, the quiet consistency, and they begin to settle in their own time, in their own way. You don't need to help this process. You don't need to observe it. It happens best when it is left alone. If there has been a habit of holding yourself together, of staying functional, of staying composed, that habit can gently loosen here, not disappear, not break, just rest. There is nothing to perform, nothing to manage. You are not being measured. You are not being assessed. You are simply being allowed. This kind of acceptance does not make you weak. It allows strength to stand down for a while. Your system understands the difference. In this space, even the quiet, unspoken tiredness is treated with respect. It does not need to justify itself. It is met with the simple message: you are allowed to be as you are. And as that message continues to be received again and again, without repetition, without emphasis, the nervous system recognizes safety. Breath remains steady, the body remains supported, and something inside you no longer has to stay alert. There is nothing more to resolve tonight, nothing to figure out. Just this gentle recognition that you are understood without being named, without being explained, and that understanding remains quietly as you continue to rest. As this quiet sense of safety continues, awareness can begin to drift gently toward the body, not to examine it, not to change it, only to notice how it is already being supported. You don't need to move at all. Simply allow your attention to settle as if it is slowly resting too. Begin with the places where your body meets the bed. No effort required, just a soft noticing. The back of your head cradled, held in place without strain. The neck no longer responsible for balance, no longer needing to hold itself up. The shoulders wide, heavy, spreading gently into the surface beneath them. You don't need to relax these areas. They are already being allowed to rest. The bed is doing that work now. Your upper back, the space between the shoulder blades, settling downward as if gravity is finally allowed to finish what it started. Your arms, from the upper arms, down through the elbows, the forearms, all the way to the hands, resting, not waiting, not prepared for movement. The hands don't need to hold anything. They don't need to be ready. If the fingers curl or lie open, either way is fine. They are supported completely. Notice how the weight of your torso is received by the bed. The chest, the ribs, the belly, rising and falling gently with each breath, without effort, without control. There is nothing you need to hold in, nothing you need to brace against. The bed accepts your full weight, all of it. Your lower back, often carrying more than it should, is now allowed to soften. It does not need to maintain posture. It does not need to protect you. The surface beneath you is stable, unmoving, reliable, your hips resting deeply as if they have been waiting for this moment. The upper legs heavy, supported along their entire length. The knees no longer holding tension, no longer bearing weight. The lower legs, the calves, the ankles, all resting, all held. Even the soles of your feet, whether they touch the bed or not, can release their quiet readiness. There is no standing to prepare for, no next step. The bed is doing the work of holding you up. You may notice how different this feels. When you are not responsible for your own weight, nothing collapses, nothing gives way. Instead, there is steadiness. The bed does not tire. It does not ask anything of you. It stays. You don't need to help it. If there are places in the body that still feel alert or tight or unfinished. They do not need to change. Even tension can be supported. Even restlessness can be held. There is no part of you that is too much for this moment. Allow yourself to sense the simple fact that you are not floating, not falling. You are supported fully. You might imagine without effort that your body is being gently pressed downward, not by force, but by permission, as if gravity has softened, becoming kind, becoming helpful. Each point of contact with the bed is a reminder that you do not have to keep yourself in place. The bed has you. You don't need to monitor your posture. You don't need to adjust. Even the smallest muscles, the ones you rarely notice, can stop working now. They are no longer needed. Your body is allowed to be heavy. Heaviness here is not sinking away. It is arriving into support. If awareness drifts from one area to another, that's fine. If it fades entirely, that is also fine. The body understands what to do when it is no longer required to hold itself together. This is a return not to effort, but to being carried. You may notice that breathing feels easier here, not because it has changed, but because nothing is resisting it. The chest rises, the chest falls, and the bed remains constant beneath it. There is something deeply reassuring about being supported in this way. No judgment, no movement, just contact and stability and rest. You don't need to remember these sensations. You don't need to hold on to them. They will remain whether you notice them or not. As the body continues to rest into this support, you may feel a growing sense of trust, not directed at anything in particular, just a quiet trust that you don't need to do anything else right now. The bed will continue to hold you. The ground beneath it will continue to hold everything, and you are free for these moments to let your body be exactly where it is, supported, held, at rest. As your body continues to be supported, there is no role left for it to play. No need to hold itself straight. No need to stay in a proper position. No need to organize itself in any particular way. For much of the day, the body quietly performs. It holds posture, maintains balance, adjusts without being asked. Even in moments of stillness, there is often a subtle effort to stay arranged, to stay ready, to stay correct. That effort can soften now. There is nothing here that requires structure, nothing that benefits from alignment, nothing that needs the body to appear composed. In this space, the body is allowed to lose its job. If the spine curves naturally, that curve is welcome. If the shoulders settle unevenly, one slightly higher, one slightly lower, that is welcome. If the head turns a little to one side, or the jaw loosens, or the neck finds a position you didn't choose, all of that is welcome. There is no ideal posture for rest. Rest does not improve when the body tries harder. The body knows how to stop organizing itself when it is allowed to. You may notice that some parts still feel as though they are on duty. Small muscles holding tension, maintaining shape, keeping things from falling. They are not wrong for doing this. They have simply not yet been told that they can stop. There is no need to tell them directly. As the bed continues to hold your weight, as the surface beneath you remains steady and unchanged, those muscles begin to notice. They receive the message without words. They begin to stand down, not all at once, not dramatically, but gradually. The shoulders may grow heavier first, or the jaw may soften, or the muscles around the eyes may release their quiet effort. There is no order required. Allow the shoulders to become heavier than they usually are, not pulling them down, just no longer holding them up. Let their weight pour into the bed as if they have been waiting for permission. Allow the arms to feel dense, full, no longer light or responsive. They do not need to move. They do not need to be ready. The hands can rest without purpose. They do not need to grip or release or signal anything. Allow the chest to settle naturally without expanding it, without controlling the breath. The breath will find its own depth when nothing interferes. Allow the belly to soften completely. No holding, no flattening, no managing. The belly does not need to look a certain way in rest. Nothing collapses when the belly softens. The body remains whole, supported, intact. Heaviness is not something to resist here. Heaviness is a sign that effort is leaving. As the body grows heavier, it becomes quieter, not frozen, not numb, just less engaged with holding itself together. The hips may sink more deeply into the bed. The thighs may spread slightly, following gravity rather than instruction. The knees may drift apart or come closer together, whichever requires less effort. The lower legs can relax their constant readiness. They do not need to support standing. They do not need to prepare for movement. Even the feet, which often stay subtly active, can let go of their awareness. They do not need to sense the floor. They do not need to be grounded. The entire body is allowed to be heavy. Heaviness here is safe. It is supported, received, welcomed. You are not sinking into something unknown. You are resting into something reliable. The bed does not judge the way your body lies. It does not ask for symmetry. It does not prefer one posture over another. It simply holds. There is relief in not having to hold yourself. You may notice a shift in the nervous system as this happens, a quiet recognition that there is no demand coming, no moment where you will be asked to respond. The body no longer needs to stay alert to protect posture or prepare for correction. It can simply be. If there are places that still feel tense, that still feel active, they do not need to change. Even those places are allowed to be heavy in their own way. There is no need to search for complete release. Rest does not require perfection. The body is not trying to reach an end state. It is simply responding to safety. As the sense of heaviness continues, You may feel as though your body is spreading slightly, widening, settling into its natural shape. This is not losing form. It is finding rest. You are not becoming less. You are becoming supported. The idea of holding yourself together can rest now, not disappear forever. Just pause. Nothing needs to be managed. Nothing needs to be maintained. You are allowed to be unstructured, allowed to be uneven, allowed to be still without control. In this heaviness, the body sends a clear signal inward. It tells the nervous system that it can downshift, that it can move out of readiness and into rest. Breathing continues on its own. The heart continues on its own. You do not need to assist them. There is nothing fragile about this state. The body is not at risk when it rests. It has done this many times before, and it remembers. As the weight of your body remains fully supported, there is a growing sense that you do not need to be aware of yourself anymore. Awareness can soften, blur, drift. You do not need to keep track of how your body feels. You do not need to monitor comfort. Everything necessary is already in place. The bed continues to hold you. The room remains quiet. Nothing changes suddenly. And in this steady environment, the body continues to let go of its role, little by little, without effort. Heavier, quieter, less defined. There is no rush, no next instruction, just this ongoing permission to stop holding, to stop arranging, to stop performing, and to let the body be heavy, fully, safely at rest. As the body rests in its own weight, there may be a recognition forming quietly, without words, a recognition that much of the tension held in the body did not come from movement, but from responsibility. Some bodies learn early how to stay firm, how to stay capable, dependable, composed. They learn how to hold themselves together even when tired, even when unsure, even when rest would be natural. If this feels familiar, there is nothing to analyze, nothing to trace back, just a simple acknowledgement. You may be someone who often carries more than is visible, someone who stays steady so others don't have to, someone whose body has learned to stay engaged just in case. That pattern has been useful. It has helped you move through life. It has protected what mattered, and for now, it is allowed to pause. You do not need to stop being capable. You do not need to give anything up permanently. This is not a loss of strength. It is a temporary rest from carrying. The body does not need to be strong in this moment. It does not need to be ready. It does not need to hold tension as proof of reliability. Strength does not disappear when it is not used. It simply waits. You may notice that some areas of your body feel tight out of habit. The shoulders staying lifted, the jaw staying set, the belly staying braced, even while lying down. These are not mistakes. They are signs of a system that learned how to endure, and endurance can soften here. You are not being asked to let go all at once. You are not being asked to trust anything unfamiliar. just to notice that right now there is nothing you need to handle. No one is asking you for anything. Nothing depends on your response. Nothing will fall apart if you rest. The body does not need to prove its strength through tension. Allow the shoulders, if they are used to holding responsibility, to feel what it is like to be empty of that task. Not dropped, not forced down, just no longer lifting. Allow the neck, often holding vigilance, to realize it can rest into the support beneath it. There is no direction it needs to face. Allow the jaw, which may be used to staying set, to loosen slightly. Not fully, not dramatically, just enough to stop working. The belly, often pulled in to stay composed, can move freely with the breath. There is no need to hold it steady. Nothing here requires composure. You do not need to be strong tonight. You do not need to be resilient. You do not need to hold space for anyone else. Those roles can wait. Even the idea of handling things can rest. If there is a part of you that stays alert out of care, out of duty, out of love, that part does not need to disappear. It can sit down. You may imagine very gently that the responsibility you carry is being set beside you, not dropped, not abandoned, just placed down carefully. It will still be there later, unchanged. For now, your body does not have to hold it. You might notice how different the body feels when it is no longer bracing. Breath moves more easily. Muscles soften without instruction. This is not weakness. This is regulation. The nervous system recognizes when it is safe to stop proving readiness. It responds to the absence of demand. You are not required to be on here. You are not being watched. You are not being measured. You can let the body sink, knowing there is nothing it needs to respond to. If emotions appear, they do not need to be managed. If none appear, that is also fine. This is not about release through feeling. It is about release through permission. Permission to not hold everything together. The body learns safety not through effort, but through consistency. The bed remains steady. The room remains quiet. The voice remains calm. Nothing asks you to step forward. And slowly, without instruction, the body begins to understand something new, that it can rest without failing, that it can be heavy without losing strength. Strength does not live in tension. It lives in capacity, and capacity grows when rest is allowed. You may feel a subtle warmth or a sense of settling, or nothing at all. All of these are signs that the body is listening. If you have spent a long time being the one who holds, the one who manages, the one who stays solid, this moment is not asking you to stop being that person. It is simply giving your body a break from the role. The role can resume later when needed with ease. For now, your body is allowed to be supported rather than supportive. You do not need to be strong in this moment. You are already enough. As the body continues to rest, The tension that came from responsibility begins to fade, not because it was forced away, but because it is no longer required. And in that absence of requirement, the body finds its natural balance. Breathing remains steady. Weight remains supported. There is nothing more you need to do, just this quiet permission to stop being strong and let the body rest. As the body rests more deeply now, something begins to change in a very gentle way. Not abruptly, not noticeably at first, just a subtle shift in how weight is experienced. The heaviness that has been allowed, the heaviness that came from no longer holding, begins to feel different. It is no longer effort leaving, it is comfort settling. The muscles continue to soften, not because they are told to, but because there is no reason for them to stay firm. They release in layers, slowly, quietly, as if remembering something familiar. Each muscle lets go in its own time. There is no signal that they all follow, no instruction that moves through the body. It happens naturally, the way a hand relaxes when it realizes it no longer needs to grip. The shoulders feel dense, warm, settled, not pulled down, not pressed, simply resting where gravity places them. The muscles there no longer hold shape. They spread gently, like fabric laid down. The arms feel fuller, heavier, no longer separate from the surface beneath them. Their weight is received completely by the bed. Nothing is suspended anymore. The chest softens without effort. Breathing moves through it easily, quietly, without lifting or pushing. The muscles between the ribs release their subtle holding, allowing space without expansion. The belly is especially free now. It moves gently with each breath, soft, unguarded, uncontained. There is no reason for it to hold tension anymore. The back muscles, often used for support, continue to let go. They widen, flatten, melt into the surface beneath them. Any sense of arching or bracing fades on its own. The hips feel grounded, heavy in a way that feels reassuring. Their weight spreads outward, downward, filling the space where they rest. There is no edge, no sharp boundary, just contact. The thighs grow warm and loose. They follow gravity naturally, resting without alignment, without symmetry. The muscles there no longer hold readiness. The knees are quiet now. They do not feel like joints to manage. They are simply places where weight passes through and settles. The lower legs soften. The calves release their constant engagement. They no longer prepare to support standing. They no longer anticipate movement. Even the feet, which often stay subtly active, feel dense and still. They rest without awareness, without direction, without purpose. The entire body feels heavier, but in a way that is soothing rather than pulling. This heaviness does not drag you downward. It spreads evenly, comfortably, like warmth. The bed receives all of it. Every ounce of weight is welcomed. Nothing is resisted. You may notice that the sensation of heaviness is not uniform. Some areas feel more settled than others. That is fine. The body does not need to feel the same everywhere. Heaviness continues to spread like a slow tide, filling spaces that once held effort. Where there was tension, there is density. Where there was holding, there is weight. This weight feels safe. It feels contained. It feels supported. The nervous system recognizes this sensation. It understands heaviness as a sign that vigilance is no longer required, that nothing needs to be held up, or defended, or prepared. As the body grows heavier, the mind naturally becomes quieter, not focused, not blank, just less engaged. Thoughts may slow, becoming less defined. They may drift, fade, dissolve before finishing. You do not need to follow them. You do not need to stop them. They are no longer central. The sensation of weight becomes more interesting than thought, more grounding, more present. Breathing continues on its own. Each inhale barely lifts the body. Each exhale allows it to settle again. With every breath out, weight spreads a little more, not deeper, just wider, more complete. The body feels like it belongs exactly where it is. There is no urge to adjust, no impulse to check comfort, no need to move. Heaviness holds you in place, gently, kindly. You may notice moments where awareness drifts away entirely, small gaps where nothing is noticed at all. These gaps are natural. They are signs that the body is resting deeply. When awareness returns, if it does, it returns softly, without urgency. Nothing was missed. The sensation of heaviness remains steady, consistent, predictable. It does not change suddenly. It does not disappear. It is like being wrapped, not tightly, but completely. The muscles continue to soften, deeper layers now, the ones closer to the bones, the ones that rarely get attention. They let go quietly, without sensation, without drama. The body becomes simpler, less defined, less separate. The boundaries between body and bed feel less clear, not gone, just less important. Weight flows downward, outward, until it feels evenly distributed. No single point carries more than it needs to. This is not sinking. This is settling into a place where nothing needs to be done. The heaviness is no longer something you notice clearly. It becomes the background, the default, and in that background, the body rests. There is no rush toward anything lighter yet, no expectation of change, just this comfortable weight, this sense of being fully received, fully supported. You do not need to stay aware of it. You do not need to hold on to it. It will remain quietly as long as it is needed. And the body, having found this depth of rest, continues to soften, slowly, naturally, without effort. As the comfortable heaviness continues to hold the body, there is no need for it to change. And yet, without effort, without intention, something begins to shift on its own. The weight that once felt clear and defined starts to soften at the edges, not lifting, not disappearing, just becoming less solid, less noticeable. This is not something to look for, not something to check. The body does not need to feel lighter for this to happen. It happens when nothing is asked of it. Muscles that had settled deeply now feel less distinct, not loose, not tight, simply less present in awareness, as if their boundaries are becoming less important. The arms may feel as though they no longer have a clear outline, not floating, not moving, just resting without definition. Their weight blends into the surface beneath them. The legs may feel similar, present, yet vague. You know they are there, but you do not need to sense where they begin or end. There is no need to locate any part of the body, no need to scan or notice or confirm. The body is still there. It is still supported. It simply no longer asks to be clearly felt. Breathing continues quietly in the background. The chest rises and falls so gently that it barely registers. The movement is felt more as a rhythm than a sensation. With each breath out, the sense of form softens a little more, not dissolving, just becoming less defined. The boundary between the body and the bed feels less firm now, not merged, not separate, simply unimportant. You may notice that it becomes harder to tell exactly where your body rests, where skin meets fabric, where pressure ends. This is not a loss of awareness. It is a change in what awareness cares about. The nervous system no longer needs sharp edges to feel safe. It no longer needs clear borders. It rests more easily when things are gentle and vague and quiet. There is no need to hold on to the sensation of lightness, no need to encourage it. If it is there, it is there. If it is subtle, that is enough. Some moments may feel almost empty of sensation. Others may still carry a soft sense of presence. Both are fine. Lightness here does not mean floating away. It means effort has fully left. The body is still supported, still grounded, still safe. It is simply no longer announcing itself. Thoughts may appear less often now. When they do, they may feel distant, unfinished, unimportant. You do not need to respond to them. They do not require attention. Awareness begins to feel wider than the body, less focused on any single place. There may be moments when you are not aware of breathing, not aware of weight, not aware of position. These moments come and go naturally. Nothing is missing when they happen. The sense of me here and body there softens. Not gone, just quiet. There is no center that needs to be held. No point that needs to be watched. Rest no longer has a shape. You may feel as though you are simply present without needing to be present as anything. No effort is required to stay here. No awareness is required either. The body continues to rest perfectly well, even when it is barely noticed. Lightness continues to unfold at its own pace, sometimes felt, sometimes not. There is no direction it must go. If awareness fades, that is rest. If awareness returns, that is also rest. Nothing interrupts the process. The room remains quiet. The bed remains steady. The body remains supported. Only the need to sense clearly has fallen away. And in this softer state, where boundaries no longer matter, the body and mind continue to settle naturally, without guidance, without effort. As this lightness continues to unfold, something gentle begins to take shape in the background of awareness, not as a sharp image, not as something you need to imagine clearly, just a soft suggestion. The surface beneath you no longer needs to feel solid or fixed. It can be sensed as something warmer, softer, more forgiving, as if the bed beneath your body has slowly transformed, becoming a wide, warm cloud, not floating, not drifting away, just resting quietly, steadily. This cloud does not move unless you want it to, and there is no reason for it to move at all. It is thick and supportive, yet soft enough to receive every part of you without pressure. Where your body meets this cloud, there is no edge, no hard point of contact, only gentle support, evenly distributed. The cloud rises slightly to meet your body, doing all the work of holding you. You do not sink through it. You are not suspended above it. You are cradled. Every part of you is welcomed without adjustment, without judgment. The cloud is warm in a way that feels familiar, not hot, not cool, just comfortably neutral, like a steady presence. Your body does not need to decide how to lie on it. The cloud adapts naturally, filling every curve, supporting every space. There is nothing beneath the cloud that you need to be aware of. Nothing below, nothing above, only this gentle layer of support. And around you, there is space, not empty, not vast, just enough. A private space where no one can reach you, no voices calling, no expectations waiting. In this space, no one needs anything from you. There are no roles here, no responsibilities to hold, no one depending on your strength or attention or readiness. You are not needed, and that is safe. Nothing is being neglected. Nothing is being forgotten. Everything that matters is being held elsewhere, just as securely as you are being held now. You are allowed to rest completely inside this space. No listening for cues, no preparing for response. The cloud remains steady beneath you. It does not shift suddenly. It does not thin or fade. It simply stays. You may notice how easy it is to trust this support, not because you decided to, but because nothing challenges that trust. The body recognizes this kind of holding. It responds by letting go even more deeply. Breathing is slow and quiet now, so subtle it feels more like a rhythm than an action. With each breath out, the body settles more fully into the cloud. There is no bottom to reach, No final place to arrive, just a sense of being perfectly placed, exactly where you are. The cloud does not ask you to relax. It does not instruct. It simply continues to hold. Warm, soft, constant. Around you, the space remains calm and undisturbed. No movement enters. No demands appear. This is a space of non-requirement. You do not have to be useful here. You do not have to be alert. You do not have to be strong. Even the idea of resting becomes unnecessary. There is nothing else you could be doing. You may notice a gentle sense of ease spreading, not excitement, not emotion, just quiet well-being, a feeling that nothing is wrong, nothing is missing, nothing needs attention. This is not happiness that rises. It is calm that settles. A calm so simple it does not need to be named. The cloud continues to support you as long as needed, without effort, and within this warm, private space where no one needs anything from you, where nothing is asked, you touch a quiet sense of peace, soft, steady, present without demand. You do not need to hold on to this feeling. You do not need to recognize it. It is already here, and it will remain, whether you notice it or not. And as the cloud continues to hold you, and the space remains undisturbed, the body and mind rest together, safely, gently, in this first, simple sense of ease. As you continue resting within this quiet, supportive space, the body no longer needs attention, and naturally, gently, the mind begins to loosen its connection to the day that has passed. There is no need to review the day, no need to remember details, conversations, decisions. They no longer belong to this moment. The day has already been lived. It does not need to be carried forward. You may notice that images of places you were, roles you stepped into, responsibilities you held, begin to feel farther away, not pushed aside, not erased, just losing their closeness, as if the day is slowly moving into the distance. The places you occupy today, rooms, streets, screens, sounds, begin to feel smaller, less defined, less relevant. You are no longer inside them. The roles you moved through, worker, helper, caretaker, decision maker, listener, problem solver, begin to loosen their grip. They no longer fit this space. They were useful earlier. They are not needed now. You do not have to resign from them. You are simply stepping out of them for a while. Imagine, without effort, that the day is placed gently behind you, not sealed away, not rejected, just set down, like a coat you no longer need to wear. Responsibilities that once felt close to the body, sitting in the shoulders, the chest, the jaw, begin to move away. They no longer press from the inside. They become lighter, smaller, quieter. You may sense them as distant shapes, far enough that they no longer require response. Nothing from the day is asking for you now. There are no messages to answer, no problems to solve, no outcomes depending on your attention. The mind does not need to stay organized. Thoughts related to the day may still appear, briefly, faintly, but they no longer connect to urgency. They pass like distant sounds, unimportant, easy to ignore. The sense of who you were today begins to soften, not disappear, just loosen. You are not defined by what you did today. You are not defined by what you handled or managed or held together. Those identities can rest. The mind begins to feel wider, less focused on any one point. It no longer circles tasks or plans. Even thoughts about tomorrow feel far away, as if they belong to someone else at another time. There is no timeline here. The mind does not need to know what comes next. You may notice moments where there is no clear thought at all, just space, just quiet. These moments do not need to be extended. They come naturally when nothing is required. If a thought returns, it returns softly. It does not pull you back. The sense of me doing fades. The sense of me being becomes less defined too. There is no need to hold on to a sense of self right now. Names, roles, stories, histories, they can all rest. You do not need to remember who you are in order to rest. The mind recognizes this safety. It understands that identity is not required in this moment. Awareness becomes simpler, less shaped, less personal. There is no need to track time, no need to notice how long you've been here. Time has softened, stretched, become unimportant. The space around you feels separate from the day, protected, undisturbed. Nothing from the outside crosses into this space. The cloud beneath you remains steady. The quiet remains unchanged, and the mind, no longer tied to the day, begins to drift more freely. Thoughts dissolve before forming. Images fade before becoming clear. There is no effort involved in letting go. Letting go is happening because holding is no longer necessary. The sense of responsibility that once felt heavy now feels distant, like something you remember carrying but are no longer carrying. You are not needed anywhere right now. There is no place you must return to, no version of yourself you must maintain. The mind is allowed to be unoccupied. In this unoccupied state, rest deepens on its own. You do not need to aim for emptiness. You do not need to quiet the mind. The mind quiets when it feels free, and right now it is free from the day, free from roles, free from places, free from responsibility. The day continues on without you. It does not need you to hold it together. You are allowed to drift without context, without identity, without effort. And as the mind continues to loosen, the boundary between thought and rest softens, leaving only a quiet presence, with nothing to do and nothing to be. As the mind continues to loosen its grip on the day, There is space now to notice something quietly present beneath it all. Not a thought, not a role, but a function that has been working for a long time. There is a part of you that has stayed alert, a part that has watched, anticipated, protected. It noticed risks before they arrived. It stayed ready, even when rest was needed. This part did not appear by accident. It learned its role carefully, patiently, over time. It has been the one that worried in the background, the one that replayed conversations, the one that scanned for what might go wrong so you could stay safe. You do not need to analyze this part. You do not need to revisit why it formed. Just acknowledge very gently that it has been trying to help. This vigilance was not a flaw. It was care, expressed through attention, and right now it is being seen. You might sense this part as a subtle tightness that used to live in the body, in the chest, in the stomach, in the back of the mind. It may feel quieter now, but still present, still listening. There is no need to silence it, no need to push it away. Instead, offer it something simple, a quiet recognition, a soft thank you, without words, without effort. Thank you for staying awake when you needed to. Thank you for trying to protect what mattered. Thank you for carrying concern when others did not. This gratitude does not activate the mind. It settles it, because this part does not need instruction. It needs acknowledgement. You are not asking it to disappear. You are not telling it to stop forever. You are letting it know that for now, its job is done. Nothing dangerous is happening. Nothing needs to be anticipated. Nothing needs guarding. The space around you is calm. The body beneath you is supported. The moment does not require defense. You may imagine, very softly, that this vigilant part is being invited to rest. Not dismissed, not removed, just allowed to sit down, as if it has been standing for a long time and now sees a place where it can finally lie back. It does not need to watch the door. It does not need to listen for sounds. Everything is already quiet. You may notice a subtle release as this part receives permission. Not dramatic, not sudden, just a gentle easing. The mind feels less sharp, less angled. Thoughts lose their edge. This is not because vigilance failed. It is because it feels safe enough to pause. The nervous system understands gratitude. It responds to appreciation with relaxation. When the part that guards is thanked, it no longer has to prove its usefulness. It can rest, knowing it has been valued. You may sense that some remaining tension, very subtle, begins to soften now. The kind that comes from always listening, always checking. It fades not because it is forced away, but because it is no longer needed. This resting vigilance does not leave you unprotected. It stays nearby, available, but quiet, like a watchful presence that has closed its eyes. Still there, but no longer scanning. You are not vulnerable here. You are held, supported, steady. There is nothing new to prepare for, and in this moment, you can allow yourself to feel the relief of not having to watch. The mind becomes rounder, softer, less alert. Breathing remains calm. The body remains still. Even awareness begins to feel less focused, less sharp. You do not need to stay aware of this process. It is happening on its own. The part that worried, the part that guarded has been acknowledged. It has been thanked, and now it is allowed to rest. Nothing is being ignored. Nothing is being forgotten. Everything that needs attention will return when needed. For now, there is nothing to monitor, just this quiet moment where even vigilance is resting and the mind can drift without concern, without effort. As everything continues to soften, there is nothing left for the mind to manage, no task to complete, no state to reach, no clarity to maintain. This is a space where thinking is no longer required. You do not need to stop thoughts. You do not need to organize them, clear them, or make sense of them. The mind does not need to be cleaned or prepared. Thoughts are allowed to come and they are allowed to go. They arrive lightly, without urgency, and they fade just as easily, without conclusion. There is no need to follow a thought to the end, no need to respond or agree or disagree. A thought may appear, pause for a moment, and then dissolve before it becomes anything important. Another may take its place, or nothing may appear at all. Both are natural. The mind is learning that it does not need to stay alert in order to be safe. There is no background danger to monitor, no signal to watch for, no problem forming in the distance. Because of this, vigilance continues to soften. Awareness becomes less pointed, less sharp. It spreads out like a gentle mist rather than a focused beam. You may notice that thoughts feel farther away now, as if they are happening somewhere else, not inside you, not directed at you. They no longer pull attention toward them. They no longer ask to be completed. They simply pass through like faint echoes, too soft to hold. There is no need to name this state, no need to recognize it. Trying to notice it would only add effort, and effort is no longer necessary. The mind is allowed to drift without direction, without intention. This drifting is not losing control. It is releasing control that is no longer needed. Moments may come when there is no clear thought at all, no image, no words, no inner movement. These moments are not empty in a concerning way. They are full of rest, and when a thought returns, it returns gently, without weight. It does not restart vigilance. It does not pull you back into the day. It fades again, naturally. You are not doing this correctly or incorrectly. There is no right depth. Even mild drifting is enough. The nervous system responds to this lack of demand. It recognizes that nothing is being asked of it. As a result, baseline alertness continues to lower. The The body remains supported. Breathing remains calm. Nothing changes suddenly. Nothing requires reaction. The mind floats, not upward, not downward, just sideways, into ease. You do not need to stay with the voice. You do not need to listen. The voice can become part of the background or disappear entirely. Everything is fine. There is no moment where you need to check whether you are awake or asleep. That distinction is no longer important. This is a state where the mind is not holding itself together. Thoughts lose their edges. Time loses its shape. You may not remember what was just said, and that is a sign of rest, not a problem. The mind is allowed to be unstructured. Nothing bad happens when thoughts are unfinished. Nothing is lost. The part of the mind that usually keeps things in order is resting now. There is no internal supervisor watching, just this gentle drifting where awareness moves freely, without anchor, without concern. If you notice yourself drifting, you do not need to notice that you noticed. Everything can continue on its own. This state does not need to deepen. It does not need to last. It simply is. And as it continues, baseline vigilance softens even more, quietly, naturally, without effort. The mind no longer guards. It no longer scans. It drifts and rests and allows itself to be carried. As the mind continues to drift without effort, there is no need to follow anything closely now. No need to pay attention. No need to remember. No need to stay with words. Everything is already moving in the right direction. In the background of awareness, something like a gentle rhythm begins to exist. Not something you have to count, not something you need to notice. It is simply there, like distant points of light. You might imagine very faintly numbers appearing far away, not in front of you, not close, but somewhere very distant, like stars in a wide night sky. They do not ask for attention. They do not require tracking. They appear and fade on their own. There is no need to follow them in order. No need to know which one comes next. No need to reach the end. The first number may already be there, or it may not. It does not matter. Each number is very far away, soft, dim, unimportant. As one fades, another appears, even farther, even quieter. 10, far away, barely noticeable, like a point of light that does not move closer. Then 9, not replacing it, just existing somewhere else, distant, unrelated. 8, so faint it almost blends into the darkness around it. 7, already dissolving as soon as it appears. You do not need to follow these numbers. They are not a task. They are not a sequence you are responsible for. They are simply drifting, like stars slowly shifting in a sky that has no edge. 6, quiet, distant, unimportant. 5, already fading before it becomes clear. 4, a soft suggestion, nothing more. 3, barely there, like something remembered and forgotten at the same time. 2. So far away it feels more like space than number. 1. Almost indistinguishable from the darkness around it. And then 0, not as an ending, not as a goal, just as an absence where nothing needs to appear anymore. There is no sense of completion required. Nothing happens at the end. The numbers were never meant to bring you anywhere. They were only drifting like everything else. And now, even the idea of numbers can fade. There is no need to count down, no need to notice where you are. The mind no longer needs markers. Time has softened completely. There is no before or after that matters. Awareness floats freely, without anchor, without direction. You may not remember the numbers clearly. You may not remember whether they reached 0. That is not important. Forgetting is part of drifting. The nervous system continues to release its final threads of control. There is nothing left to monitor, nothing left to complete. Thoughts are now rare, and when they appear, they dissolve immediately. The body remains deeply supported. Breathing is slow, automatic, quiet. You are not guiding this process. You are not involved in it. You are being carried. There is no need to stay with the voice. The voice can fade, stretch, blur. Everything becomes background. This is a space without effort, without structure, without requirement. If sleep arrives here, it arrives naturally. If drifting continues, that is natural too. There is no difference that matters. You do not need to check. Nothing needs to be controlled. The last traces of alertness dissolve, not suddenly, not completely, but gently, like light dimming at the edge of perception. And in this deep, unstructured drifting, where numbers have faded, where time has no shape, the mind and body continue to rest, carried quietly, without awareness, without effort, into deeper and deeper ease. As everything is slowed, there is nothing left to do now. No final step, no last instruction, no effort that still needs to be released. Even the idea of sleeping can be set aside. Sleep does not need to be reached. It does not need to be entered or invited or allowed. It happens best when it is not pursued. Right now, you do not need to sleep. You do not need to try. You do not need to let go better than you already have. The body already knows what comes next. For a long time, the mind may have believed it needed to guide this process, to cooperate, to aim, to help sleep arrive. That belief can rest now. The body does not need assistance. Breathing is already happening without permission. The heart is already moving without instruction. Digestion, repair, regulation are already underway. Sleep belongs to the same system. It does not wait for approval. You do not need to move toward it. You do not need to surrender into it. You can simply stop interfering. There is a difference between letting go and trying to let go. That difference is effort, and effort is no longer required, if there is still a subtle sense of doing, of waiting for something to happen, that too can be released. You are not waiting for sleep. You are resting. Rest does not require an outcome. There is no moment you need to cross, no threshold you need to notice. The body will continue on its own timeline. You may feel as though nothing is happening now, no sensations changing, no drifting, no clear transition. That is often the moment when control has ended. The nervous system no longer looks for a signal. It no longer checks whether it is safe to stop. It already knows. You are not responsible for what happens next. The body will take over, quietly, efficiently, without awareness. You do not need to give it permission. It does not need encouragement. It has done this countless times before. There is no need to hold on to awareness, no need to let awareness go. Both will change naturally. You might notice brief returns of thought, not because something is wrong, but because the mind is learning it no longer needs to stay engaged. Those thoughts will not pull you back. They dissolve on their own. There is nothing left to manage. Even the idea of falling asleep can fade. Sleep is not something you fall into. It is something the body shifts into when effort is absent. You have already removed the effort. Now there is only allowing the body to continue, allowing the mind to fade when it wants to, allowing awareness to thin or remain without preference. Nothing more is required. There is no failure possible here. Whether you notice sleep arriving or never notice it at all, the process is the same. You do not need to witness it. The last traces of will soften now, not forced, not pushed, just no longer needed. Like hands that open because they are no longer holding anything, the body moves into deeper rest on its own, without direction, without supervision, and you do not need to be present for that movement. If awareness remains for a while, that is fine. If it fades completely, that is fine. There is no preference. You are already safe, already supported, already resting. From here, the body does the rest, quietly, naturally, without your involvement. Now, there is nothing left to guide, nothing left to release, nothing left to allow. What remains is not something you do, but something that is already true. A quiet foundation, steady, unchanged. You are safe, not because you checked, not because you prepared, but because nothing here threatens you. Safety does not need to be confirmed anymore. It is simply present, like the ground beneath everything. You are being supported, not actively, not attentively, but continuously, effortlessly, without pause. The support beneath you does not fluctuate. It does not weaken when you stop noticing it. It does not depend on your awareness. It holds, whether you are awake, drifting, or deeply asleep. There is nothing you need to protect right now. No boundary to guard, no position to maintain, no vigilance required. Even the idea of keeping yourself safe can rest. Your body does not need to stay organized. It does not need to stay alert. It does not need to stay intact in any particular way. Everything essential is already being taken care of. Without effort, without supervision, breathing continues, slow, natural, not because you allow it, but because it belongs to life itself. The heart continues quietly, steadily, without asking, without reporting. The body knows how to remain whole, even when awareness fades completely. You do not need to hold yourself together. There is no part of you that might slip away. Nothing fragile here. Rest does not cause loss. It allows restoration. You are not required to remember anything. Not words, not images, not this moment. Forgetting is safe here. You are not responsible for staying present. Presence can come and go. Nothing depends on it. The foundation beneath you remains unchanging, reliable, calm. There is no next step, no deeper state you must enter. This is already enough. The mind may be quiet or absent. The body may feel distant or undefined or not felt at all. All of this is fine. You do not need to keep track of yourself. There is no need to wake, no need to drift, no need to sleep. Whatever happens, happens naturally. The system that knows how to rest, how to repair, how to renew, is fully in charge now. You do not need to assist it. You are allowed to disappear from effort, allowed to be carried without awareness, without intention. Nothing is expected from you now or later. The state you are in does not need to be preserved. It does not fade when unnoticed. Peace here is not a feeling that comes and goes. It is a background, quiet, stable, present, an ease that does not require attention, an ease that remains even in deep sleep. You are safe, even when you are not aware of being safe. You are supported, even when you are not aware of being supported. There is nothing to hold on to and nothing to lose. The body rests, the mind rests, even the sense of resting dissolves. What remains is simple, quiet, undisturbed. You do not need to stay with this voice. You do not need to listen. Everything essential is already in place, and in this deep, effortless stillness, where nothing is required, nothing maintained, nothing watched, sleep deepens on its own, or continues without transition, without notice. An underlying calm remains, to steady, gentle, unbroken, and you rest, held, safe, free from all effort. And now, nothing new is being offered, nothing added, nothing changed. What remains is like a soft background sound, steady, unobtrusive, always there. You do not need to listen to it. You do not need to remember it. It is not meant to be followed. These words no longer ask for attention. They are simply present, like a distant hum, like air moving gently in a quiet room. You are safe, and this safety does not need to be checked. You are supported, and this support does not depend on awareness. Nothing needs to be held together. Nothing needs to be kept in mind. The mind can rest completely now, even from listening. If sounds are noticed, they can pass through without meaning. If silence is noticed, it can remain without being filled. There is no difference. The voice becomes part of the environment, not a message, not a guide, just a steady presence in the background, like something that has always been there and will continue, whether you notice it or not. You do not need to respond. You do not need to understand. Memory is not required. Words can blur, overlap, fade. That is expected. The nervous system responds to consistency, not content. And the consistency here is simple. Nothing changes suddenly. Nothing demands response. Breathing continues in its own rhythm, slow, automatic, unobserved. The body remains heavy, settled, unmoving. There is no signal to wake for, no reason to monitor the space. If awareness drifts far away, there is no need to return. If awareness disappears completely, everything continues safely. The mind does not need to stay present to remain protected. Sleep is not something you fall into. It is something that continues when effort ends, and effort has ended. You do not need to remember this moment. You do not need to recognize how deep rest has become. Depth does not need witnesses. The background remains calm, like a steady night, without events. Thoughts may no longer form clearly, or they may form briefly, then dissolve. Both are signs of stability. Nothing is interrupted by forgetting. Nothing is lost when attention fades. The body knows how to stay asleep. It does not need reminders. The mind knows how to remain quiet. It does not need instruction. This voice no longer leads anywhere. It simply remains, like a soft, repeating tone. You may not notice when it repeats. You may not notice when it stops. There is no need to check. Everything essential is already in place. The background sense of ease continues. Even if consciousness narrows, even if it disappears for long stretches, you are not required to wake, not required to dream, not required to be aware. Whatever happens, happens within safety. The system that keeps you alive, that regulates, repairs, restores, is fully active even as awareness fades. Nothing depends on your attention. You do not need to hear reassurance. You do not need to remember permission. Permission is no longer relevant. Rest is happening, deep, stable, uninterrupted. And if the voice becomes only a faint vibration, or a rhythm without words, or disappears entirely, nothing changes. Sleep continues. The background remains, calm, steady, unbroken, and you rest without listening, without remembering, without effort, held quietly, deeply, safely, and now even the idea of sleeping can be released completely, not set aside, not postponed, but gently let go of. There is no longer a process unfolding, no transition to notice, no state to arrive in. Sleep is no longer something that matters. There is nothing left to do and nothing left to stop doing. Guidance is no longer needed. Direction is no longer relevant. The body does not require instructions. The mind does not require reassurance. Everything that needed to happen has already begun and continues without awareness. There is no need to rest into anything, no need to stay still, no need to let go again. Even the idea of letting go can fade. You are not entering sleep. You are not avoiding sleep. Both ideas can disappear. What remains does not have a name. The sense of being guided dissolves. The sense of following dissolves. There is no voice you need to stay with now. No message you need to remember. Words no longer matter. If awareness is present, it is present without task. If awareness fades, nothing is lost. You do not need to hold the state you are in. It holds itself. There is no circle to complete, no loop to close intentionally. Safety does not need reinforcement. It is already complete. Nothing is coming toward you. Nothing is being left unfinished. The body rests because it knows how, not because it was told to. The mind rests because it is no longer needed, not because it has been quieted. Everything has simplified. There is no foreground, no background, no inside, no outside. No effort remains. Even the sense of being here softens, not removed, not erased, just no longer necessary. You do not need to notice time passing. You do not need to forget time either. Time has no role. Nothing will interrupt this state. Nothing needs to protect it. There is no instruction coming next. Silence does not need to deepen. Stillness does not need to hold. They simply are. The system that keeps you safe, that restores balance, that carries you through sleep, is fully active. It does not require supervision. You are not required to be present for rest to continue. If dreams form, they form naturally. If there is only blankness, that is natural too. Nothing is being done wrong. Nothing is missing. There is no end point to reach, no outcome expected. This is not a conclusion. It is an absence of need for conclusions. Even this moment does not need to be remembered. There is no responsibility left, not even the responsibility to sleep. You are free from effort, free from direction, free from instruction. What remains is a closed, steady circle of safety, not something you hold, but something that holds you. Nothing can fall out of it. Nothing can enter it. And because nothing is required, everything continues quietly. The body rests, The mind rests, and even the idea of rest dissolves, leaving only stability and ease and nothing to do. And finally, there is one last thing to be gently acknowledged, that every state you may be in right now is already correct. There is no wrong way to be here. If you are hearing these words, that is fine. If you are not really hearing them, that is also fine. If awareness comes and goes, that is fine. If it stays distant, that is fine. You do not need to check which state you are in. There is no better state to reach. If you are deeply asleep, everything is as it should be. If you are drifting, half aware, everything is as it should be. If you are somewhere in between, not clearly awake, not clearly asleep, that is exactly right. The body knows how to rest in all of these states. The mind knows how to soften in all of them. Nothing is being delayed. Nothing is being done incorrectly. Hearing or not hearing, remembering or forgetting, following or not following, none of it matters now. There is no test, no expectation. You are not required to respond in any way. Rest does not depend on precision. Sleep does not depend on awareness. Even drifting without sleeping is still rest. Even resting without drifting is still rest. Everything serves the body. Everything serves recovery. You are allowed to be exactly as you are, without adjusting, without choosing, without effort. Nothing needs to change. Nothing needs to improve. Nothing needs to happen next. All states are welcome. All states are safe. And because there is nothing to correct, nothing to aim for, nothing to maintain, the system can remain completely at ease. The circle is closed, not by effort, but by acceptance. You are held in whatever state you are in, and everything continues naturally, quietly, without your involvement. And now, even peace does not need to be carried forward. It does not need to be remembered, and it does not need to be held. An ease that is real does not ask to be preserved. It does not depend on memory. It does not fade when it is not noticed. You do not need to take anything with you from this moment. Not a feeling, not a calm, not a sense of quiet. Nothing here needs to be stored. Peace is not an object you keep. It is a condition that exists when nothing is required. And right now, nothing is required. If this sense of ease remains, it remains on its own. If it dissolves completely, nothing is lost. You do not need to remember how this feels. You do not need to return to it later. The body knows how to find rest again, without instruction, without reference. The mind does not need to bookmark this state. It does not need to hold an image of calm. Calm does not need to be recalled to be real. Even the idea of an lack of peace, of ease, can fade. There is no lesson here, no takeaway, no insight to carry into waking life. This moment does not ask for continuity. You are not meant to hold on to rest. Rest happens when holding stops, and holding has already stopped. If awareness is present, it can soften. If awareness is absent, everything continues just as well. Nothing needs to be kept alive by attention. The peace here is not fragile. It does not break when forgotten. It belongs to the background of being, not to memory. So there is nothing to protect, nothing to keep safe. You do not need to worry about losing this state. There is nothing to lose. When the body sleeps, peace sleeps with it. When the mind fades, peace does not disappear. It simply does not need to be noticed. And because nothing needs to be carried, you can rest even more deeply. No effort backward, no effort forward. Just this complete absence of holding. Everything essential continues quietly, without record, without trace. And you drift or sleep or remain still without needing to remember why it feels okay. And now everything can be at rest. Please go to sleep now, my friend.